Acquiring supernormal thinking power, you can get anything that you want to get through acquiring supernormal thinking power, acquiring supernormal powers.
That everything that we call matter comes from something that is not material. That the essential nature of the physical world is that it's not physical. That the essential stuff of the universe is non-stuff. Call it what you will. Science tells us that nature is a discontinuity, that it's an on-off phenomenon, that there are gaps between every two ons, where you find a field of possibilities, a field of pure potentiality. Science doesn't call it God, but what is God if not the immeasurable potential of all that was, all that is, and all that will be?
Supernormal powers.
Science also tells us that this is a field of non-locality, where everything is correlated with everything else. Today, science tells us that the essential nature of reality is non-local correlation. Everything is connected to everything else. That there's hidden creativity. There are quantum leaps of creativity. That there's something called the observer effect, where intention orchestrates space-time events, which we then measure as movement and motion and energy and matter. And addressing Sam, we can have a personal relationship with this intelligence, because we have a consciousness that is part of the sea of consciousness.
Supernormal powers.
That you have to stop being the jihadists and the Vatican of conservative and orthodox science, which is not relevant anymore. In the absence of a conscious entity, the moon remains a radically ambiguous and ceaselessly flowing quantum soup.
Deepak, that is...
That you have to have a conscious being.
The moon? You asked Dan what I meant by woo-woo. That is the very embodiment of woo-woo. Stringing together at a rapid patter of a bunch of scientific sounding words sprinkled in with some spiritual new age words doesn't mean anything. I mean, just take just one example of this non-local quantum effects, we're all connected. No, this is not true. When quantum physicists talk about non-locality and the interconnectedness of things, they're talking about things at the quantum level. What he means by non-local is that everything in the universe is interconnected. And it just is not true. It just isn't.
And there's no reason to think that it's active at the level of the brain. That non-locality is a principle that is working. Hold on, Deepak, you spoke for quite some time. The deeper point here, and this is where the whole style and content of what you're saying is so deeply unscientific, is that there's not a physicist sitting on this stage right now. Okay, I would never be tempted to lecture a room full of 1,000 people at Caltech about physics. I'm not a physicist. You're not a physicist. And basically every sentence demonstrates that you speak on the subject. Now, please don't take this as ad hominem. I mean, I'm talking about specifically what you said. But the fact, what you do and what many people who try to invoke spooky physics do in the service of propping up their religious and New Age intuitions is that they think that because what you're saying, because quantum mechanics is spooky and difficult to understand, and because what you're saying is spooky and difficult to understand, they must somehow be related, or they must somehow be mutually supportive. And that's just fundamentally not true. They are arrived at by completely different methodologies and ways of thinking and criteria of discursive evidence. What a mystic, I've studied with great mystics. I've met great meditation masters who've spent 20 years in caves perfecting the kinds of techniques of meditation that you would adopt or recommend. They don't know a damn thing about physics. And they're not interested, for the most part, in physics. I mean, there's nothing about sitting in a cave and granted, having incredibly useful and even normative experiences and transforming your way of life and transforming your moment-to-moment perception of the world. There's nothing about that project that makes you a theoretical physicist. And so these are completely different language games. They're completely, and you have just merged them together in a very...
What's your name?
Leonard Mladinov.
And so, Leonard, you are a quantum physicist?
I'm a theoretical physicist, and I'm also writing a book with Stephen Hawking, so I could comment on the God question with Stephen Hawking.
So, in the spirit of our no comments, just questions, what's your question? And to whom? I'll hold the mic.
Oh, you hold the mic, all right. That means it really has to be a question, okay.
All right, this is my form of
question would be to Deepak to say, would you like to have a short course in quantum mechanics sometime so that we can straighten out your slightly misuse of quantum notation? Good, but we'll have to keep it local, though. I don't think we could make it non-local.
No, but
can I bother you for just a second? What is it?
Do you, sir, believe in the infinite?
I believe I understand to some extent the concept of infinity. I'm not sure what it means to believe in the infinite.
Okay. Do you think that your mathematics requires the infinite to explain things that you explain to people?
We do use the concept of infinity quite a lot.
Thank you.
We do. You're welcome.
What is it about Deepak's use of quantum physics that bothers you?
The term non-local, the use was not correct, and the correlations of the, the pacemaker and the different electrical things going on.
I happen to disagree, by the way.
Oh, I assume you did, since you said that.
You know, you're in I happen to disagree.
I would love to, I'd love to talk about it.
I think consciousness is non-local.
I'm sorry?
I think consciousness is non-local.
Consciousness.
Oh.
Is non-local.
Yeah, you know, I've never really run across a definition of consciousness that I understood. So maybe you could teach me something, and I can.
Field, a superposition of possibilities.
Okay. Well, all right. I know what each of those words means. I still don't think I know it.
I'm right now talking to a conscious being.
I'm sorry?
I'm speaking to a conscious being.
I hope so.
Even though the conscious being is pretending to be a physicist.
Is pretending?
Pretending means pretending in the larger context. You are an infinite being who's taken on the identity of a physicist in space and time.